Hello everyone, my name is Jeremie Heston. Some of you know me through my music. Christmas Guitar Piece is an album that I released back in 2005, and then in 2010 I released a second album called A Light in the Storm, and both of those albums were primarily instrumental albums, mostly guitar, some background vocals, but these experiences have kind of been something that I've enjoyed doing for many years. I've been playing guitar since I was 12 years old, and the reason that I am posting these videos is because I asked a question on Facebook one day if you guys wanted me to kind of tell the story of what I go through and what it takes to create this kind of music. And so the overwhelming response was yes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to kind of tell my story of what it takes and what I go through and the experience that it is to create this music that is such a passion for me, something that God gave me to share with you. So I'm also going to be addressing some questions that I've had that came in over the years in various types of social media. Questions like, who writes your music? Who arranges your music? Where do you draw your inspiration from? Who plays the accompanying instruments like piano, keyboards, bass guitar, etc.? One question came in a number of times is, do you sing? And then who finances your music? Do you perform live? So lots of different questions that have come in over the years, and I hope to address most of them as I talk about what this whole experience is like and just kind of tell my story. So with that, let's get started. So, like promised, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Let's start with who writes your music, who arranges your music, where do you draw inspiration from, and who plays your accompanying instruments like piano, keyboards, bass guitar, other instruments. So the short answer is I play almost all of the instruments on every album. If I'm doing a cover, then obviously I didn't write that piece, but I do those arrangements. So I'll work up a tune and create my own arrangement for that tune, as well as the tunes that I write. So there are a lot of covers that I've done in the past. So like the Christmas album was all covers. The A Light in the Storm album was mostly covers. There was 14 songs on that album, and 5 of those songs I wrote myself. And this new album is mostly all original work, meaning music that I've written myself. I think there's only a couple of covers on this new CD, and I don't think I've mentioned it so far in this video. So the new CD is going to be called Just Let Go, and again, mostly original music. So that's the short answer. Now I'm going to take you into the studio and demonstrate kind of what that looks like, the process of writing a tune, recording the different parts, doing a little bit of editing, and bringing it to completion. So let's go to the studio. So here I am in the home studio, and it's not quite what you would expect. It's not like I have this basement that I own that is all set up like a big old studio that I bring people in. It's not like a traditional studio. I have equipment that I work with, and I basically take it around wherever I am. I have this piece of equipment here, which is called a 24 track. I had something similar to this when I was working on the Christmas tune back in 2003, 2004, 2005, and I actually lived in a different house at that time and was working primarily in the basement of that house. I don't have footage of that, but it was basically a piece of equipment like this. And then this I got in 2008, and it basically is an upgrade to the equipment I was using on the Christmas CD. And this piece of equipment, I've recorded all the tunes for A Light in the Storm, and then at 3 different locations, meaning whenever I moved, I would take this with me, I'd take my keyboard with me, I'd take my guitars with me. You know, I got the little laptop here that's got the different editing programs on it that I use. And so wherever I'm living, I basically set up a workstation. Kind of looks like this, nothing special really. I'm just gonna walk over here and show you. I'm in a basement. Got boxes everywhere, nothing special. But you don't need anything special and elaborate to produce great sound. You need natural talent, you need good ears, and you need to be willing to do the work that it takes, which is a lot. So that's the basic setup.
So where do you go for inspiration when you're sitting down or standing up or whatever? It's time to work on a song. Well, do you do that? Do you say, okay, I got some time right now, I'm going to start a new piece of music, or does it appear? Or both?
Well, one of the other musicians, I think it was my brother, said that there is a formula to it. And there is in the structure of a song. There's a certain way to go about doing things. And I use that as a template to create music, but the inspiration comes from no one single thing. I could be driving in my car listening to some popular artist, and there's something about something she does that catches my attention and gives me an idea. I could be at the coast, and you were actually part of this. We did Walking Patiently, and I added seagulls to that song, and I was trying to figure out how to make it more of a realistic experience. And during the editing of that song, I actually went down to the coast with my wife for our anniversary, and I was standing there at this rock wall just watching the ocean. The seagull had this piece, it looked like a piece of fish or shrimp or something, and it was flying as fast as it could. It had these two chasing it, and it was just making that, that seagull sound, that crying sound that they make as he was flying by, and it went back and forth about 2 or 3 times. And I was inspired immediately that that's what we needed to do in that mix, was create the sound of the seagull flying, making that sound from this side over to that side, because that's what he was doing in real life. And it's things like that that inspire me. As you remember, we panned the seagull sound. It fades in from the right and then goes off to the left and disappears. And so it's little things like that that I get inspiration from.
Now, I'm going to show you, it would take hours to demonstrate exactly instrument by instrument what that looks like. So instead, I'll just point and explain. So here I got the mic. This is the mic that I use. It's like about a $500 mic. And it basically, I position it in front of my guitar, move it all around until I get the right sound. And with all the different knobs and everything, I turn up the volume, the gains, I tune it up as far as sound goes and EQ it so that it sounds really good to my ears. Then I'll start by recording a song on a couple of tracks. So like I might start with a rhythm guitar and just, start playing the tune and play it all the way through. And when I say play it all the way through, if I make a mistake, I have to stop it, then move over to 2 more tracks, and then back up, and then go through again. And so basically wherever the screw up happened here, I start playing again here. And then I just continue that back and forth, until I have completed a whole section of rhythm guitar. Then once I get that done, then I might start adding the lead guitar, 2 more tracks, and then back and forth with that until I finish recording the whole lead guitar as flawless as I can make it. Then I'll start working on keyboards. I'll start putting in piano. I'll start putting in bass guitar and other instruments until I have basically worked up and completed a tune. Now, what I just explained here in just a couple of minutes takes hundreds of hours, because I first have the inspiration of the tune, which comes to me in various different ways. I'll explain that later. And then I start working on one instrument, like if it's going to be like a piano tune, for example. I will have to create the whole song and practice it over and over and over until I've got it down to where I can almost play it live if I want to. And then once I'm to that skill level on that instrument, then I can start coming in and recording it. So I have to do that on the piano. I have to do that on the rhythm guitar, the lead guitar. If there are any electric guitars, I have to practice and do that on the electric guitars. All the keyboard sounds, I have to practice on the keyboards, not just piano, but there are keyboard pads you put in behind to kind of fill up space and make songs what you want them to be, whether it be edgy or warm and friendly or whatever. So every single instrument that I play on these albums, I have to practice that instrument and put many hours into the practice so that I can get it to where I can record it.
I get inspiration from when I'm at church, working on the worship team, listening to certain tunes, or how tunes are arranged, or how we decide to execute a certain song in the midst of worship and how it affects others. I can actually see. It's kind of nice when you have 2,000 or 3,000 people in front of you, and you can tell when they're reacting well and what they're not reacting to, and so that gives me some insight and ideas there. Movie scores. There's a lot of tremendous musical arrangements just in movie scores. They're not top 10 music that, that's not mainstream music, but there's a lot of beauty in what they do. Going and seeing the Nutcracker and listening to them play, and just, I could name 1,000 things that I draw inspiration from, but it's just one of those things where music is inside me. I just have to be around it. It's part of who I am. And when I'm out fishing, or I'm off at the coast, or I'm driving on the freeway, or across the 205 and I'm looking at Mount Hood, I look at things, I hear sounds, and I just wonder what I could do with that and how I could add that to a tune. And just little inch by inch start creating these things. And I kind of do it in layers. I'll start out with a basic tune, and then maybe add a guitar part to that tune. And then maybe after that I'll add a synth to that. And then maybe after that I'll add a piano. And so I just build it one instrument after another and create it. And then we get it in here and start editing it. And then we start tweaking it and saying, oh, this should come down a little, or that, and the process of that. So it's really, it starts from a very microscopic thing, and I just put pieces together and refine it over the years until I have a finished piece.
Once I have things all recorded, then I start adding or taking away, and I just start refining it in the recording process, so that when it's time to actually go to the studio, I'm not wasting a lot of time in the studio spending, all kinds of money trying to figure this out. When I go in the studio, I already have a solid idea of what I want. I already have all the recordings done and as clean as I can make them without digital editing. What is digital editing? Well, I'll go up into my home office and show you a basic idea of what that looks like on the computer there. So let's go back upstairs. So as you can see, working up a tune is not just something you sit down and you just decide you're going to do it and you record it and you're going to be done in a day or in a few hours. No, It is a very lengthy, multiple step process. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of tenacity, and you just basically have to be committed to it. It's like when you want to, say you want to build a lot of muscle and you want to get in shape, or maybe you're overweight and you want to lose a lot of weight. Well, you don't just hit the gym and then all of a sudden, within a couple hours, you've achieved all of your dreams. No, it is a process. You have to work at it. And it's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So writing a song and creating an album of songs is quite a process. That takes time that you have to really be committed to see it through to the end. And the same is true with video, like what I'm doing right now. You might wonder, well, who does all your video work? Well, I do, because I don't have the kind of funds it takes to hire a video crew and do all the recording for me and all the editing and just produce a show. This isn't like that. Everything that I do is self-funded. So I pay for all the equipment, I pay for all the studio time, I invest in the time it takes to basically do almost everything, and it's really a joy for me, and I'll talk more about the calling and why I do what I do, but just got to understand it is a process. So now I'm going to show you another stage of that process in the music editing program I have on my home computer before everything is ready to actually pick up and take over to the professional studio where I actually got to pay money per hour and do the editing with my buddy Clark. So anyway, let's take a look at this. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. Real quick, just want to give you some information. If you're looking for these albums, you can find my music on iTunes or Amazon MP3. There's other websites that are available on, but those are the most prominent. You just go into their search engines, you type in Jeremie Heston, My first name is spelled Jeremie, and my last name is spelled Heston. So type those in the search engines and the album should come up and you can download them. They're not very expensive. Also, if you haven't been able to follow every episode of the video series, both season 1 and season 2 are going to be available on YouTube. And you just simply type in Jeremie Heston, My Journey Making Music. And then, of course, whatever episode number you're looking for. So, for example, Jeremie Heston, My Journey Making Music, episode 1. Type that in and you'll be able to find all of the episodes. Season 1 has 22 episodes. And season 2, I think, is going to have 10 or 12 episodes. I'm not sure at this point. But I'll put a little video at the end of those episodes when I get to that. So, anyway, thanks again for watching. Thank you for your support. And God bless you.